Caitlin Clark is a legend. Her accomplishments have made it possible for her to influence millions of young girls who want to grow up and achieve as much as she has. However, the question that is not so often asked is, who are the people who have influenced the star to become who she is today? There have been reports claiming that Caitlin stopped dead during a match after noticing someone from her past in the crowd. The way she reacted had everyone wondering just how much of an impact this person must have had on her. Was the person she saw the reason she is smashing records in basketball? Join us as we reveal what happened during the match. The Indiana Fever has been smashing records due to the presence of their talented guard and an all-star team. However, while many look to Caitlin Clark for the vital role she plays in every game, no one expected her to stop in the middle of a game because of a face she saw in the crowd. During the game that Friday, reports say the two-time winner of the Nancy Lieberman Point Guard Award seemed to notice a face in the rowdy crowd that caught her attention. However, due to the hustle and bustle of the movement, she could not quite see who it was, except that it looked like a woman she had been hoping to see again. The next thing that shocked everyone present was Caitlin's reaction as she desperately signaled to a nearby security personnel to get that woman. Fans in the stands could not understand what was happening, and the only thing they could see was Caitlin pointing frantically in their direction. Minutes later, the security personnel went to the stands to check for the woman Caitlin was pointing at, only to find that there was no one who fit the description she had given. On hearing this, Caitlin sank to a squat as if she needed to take a breath, and everyone could clearly see that she was fighting emotions. The spectators, who couldn't fully understand what was happening, only knew that something had shaken their beloved star. After a few minutes, Caitlin pulled herself together and threw herself back into the game. But there's a twist. Investigations into this report make it clear that it did not play out in this way. However, it is widely known that there is a woman in Caitlin Clark's past who greatly impacted who she is today. Her name is Maya Moore. Long before she became a household name, Caitlin Clark experienced a moment that would leave an indelible mark on her life. A brief encounter that has resonated through her career, fueling her passion and determination. 10 years ago, a 12-year-old Caitlin Clark stood in the bleachers of a Minnesota Lynx game, her heart pounding with excitement. She had traveled with her father, Brent, from Des Moines, Iowa, to Minneapolis for the game, hoping to catch a glimpse of her idol, Maya Moore. At that time, Moore was the personification of excellence in women's basketball, leading the Lynx to 4 titles in 7 seasons and being named the WNBA MVP in 2014. For young Caitlin, Moore represented everything she aspired to be: a dominant force on the court, a leader, and a beacon of inspiration. As the game ended and the crowd began to disperse, Caitlin's eyes locked onto Moore, who was mingling with fans on the court. Without a second thought, she ran forward, her small frame weaving through the throngs of people until she stood before her hero. In those fleeting seconds, Caitlin did something that would shape her future. She hugged Maya Moore. There was no camera to capture the moment, no autograph to commemorate it. But that embrace, lasting only 10 seconds, was enough to ignite a fire in Caitlin's heart. Reflecting on that moment years later, Caitlin would smile and say, 10 seconds can go a long way in somebody's life. It was a lesson she carried with her, a reminder that even the smallest acts of kindness can have a deep impact. That brief encounter with Moore didn't just inspire Caitlin, it instilled in her a sense of responsibility to pay it forward, to be a source of encouragement and inspiration for others, just as Moore had been for her. And that was not all. Caitlin's rise to stardom is nothing short of extraordinary. Drafted as the #1 overall pick by the Indiana Fever, she entered the WNBA with a reputation as one of the most electrifying players in the history of women's basketball. Her deep three-pointers, her court vision, and her competitive spirit quickly made her a fan favorite. But beyond the stats and the accolades, there was something more, a deeper connection to the game and its community that set her apart. During her time with the Iowa Hawkeyes, Caitlin led her team to back-to-back national championship games, earning the admiration of fans and opponents alike. Her coach, Lisa Bluder, often spoke of the joy Caitlin brought to the game, a joy that was infectious, radiating from the court to the stands and beyond. It was the same joy that Maya Moore had shown Caitlin all those years ago, now being passed on to a new generation of fans. Caitlin's impact extends far beyond the basketball court. Her father, Brent, shared stories of how Caitlin's games provided comfort to people going through difficult times. Whether it was a parent in hospice or someone struggling with the challenges of everyday life, Caitlin's presence on the court offered them a brief escape, a moment of joy and hope. Brent expressed that she inspires people and brings them happiness simply by being herself, describing it as a full-circle moment since Moore had the same impact on Caitlin. Maya Moore, now retired, watches Caitlin's career with a sense of pride and fulfillment. She sees in Caitlin not just a remarkable athlete, but a young woman who manifests the values that Moore herself has always championed: kindness, community, and a commitment to making the world a better place. Moore described her as someone who represents much more than just statistics, highlighting her efforts to bring passion and joy to her community. She expressed anticipation for how she will use her influence to uplift her community and improve her teammates. Moore's influence on Caitlin is unmistakable. Caitlin shared that she makes an effort to spend time with young girls because Maya had been so kind to her when she approached her, a gesture that has stayed with her up to the age of 22. Every time she stops to sign an autograph, pose for a photo, or simply acknowledge a fan, she's paying homage to the woman who showed her the power of a single moment of kindness. The connection between Caitlin and Maya runs deep, a testament to the power of role models and the lasting impact they can have on the lives of those who look up to them. It's a reminder that the WNBA, now in its 28th year, has grown into more than just a league. It's a movement, one that is inspiring young girls across the country to dream big and pursue their passions with unwavering determination. As Caitlin prepares to lead the Indiana Fever to new heights, she carries with her the lessons she learned from Maya Moore: the importance of community, the power of kindness, and the responsibility to use her platform for good. It's a legacy that Moore is proud to see continue, a legacy that will inspire countless others to follow in their footsteps. In March, Caitlin and Maya met again, this time under different circumstances. Caitlin was now a star in her own right, on the verge of breaking records and leading her team to victory. But when she saw Maya, the same awe and admiration filled her heart. The two embraced, and Caitlin couldn't help but giggle, feeling like she was fangirling so hard. It was a moment of pure joy, a reminder of how far she had come, and how much Moore's influence still meant to her. After that game, Caitlin reflected on the significance of their meeting. She expressed that her passion for women's basketball began because of Moore and the success of the Lynx, stating that she aspired to be just like her. And in many ways, she has become just like Maya Moore, not just in terms of her success on the court, but in her dedication to making a positive impact off the court as well. Caitlin Clark's legacy is already shaping up to be one of the most remarkable stories in women's basketball, and her future holds even more promise. The Indiana Fever's decision to draft Clark as their #1 pick was a testament to her talent and an acknowledgement of the bright future she represents for the sport. However, while many focus on her extraordinary performances on the court, there is a deeper story to what lies ahead for Clark, both in the WNBA and beyond. Keep watching to find out. During her time at Iowa, Clark set the standard for what it means to be a game-changing player. She broke records, earned an 8-figure shoe deal, and brought millions of new fans to women's basketball. But what sets Clark apart is not just her stats or accolades, it's her vision for the future. Clark has always been vocal about using her platform to inspire the next generation of athletes, particularly young girls who dream of making it big in sports. She has repeatedly spoken about her desire to advocate for women's sports and bring more visibility to female athletes. Her style of play, characterized by her long-range shooting and court vision, has already changed the way people view women's basketball. Fans and analysts have noted how Clark's presence on the court demands attention, drawing comparisons to some of the greatest players in the history of the sport. Her ability to dominate a game, combined with her charismatic personality, has brought a new level of excitement to the sport. Women's basketball, which has often been overshadowed by its male counterpart, is now enjoying a comeback, thanks in large part to players like Clark who bring a fresh and dynamic style of play. Her logo 3, a three-point shot that's taken around the mid-court by the logo and one of the hardest shots for any player, and her ability to control the tempo of a game have made her a must-watch player, and this visibility is crucial for the growth of the sport. Looking ahead, Caitlin Clark's future in the WNBA is filled with possibilities. She has the talent and the drive to become one of the greatest female basketball players of all time. Her impact will likely go beyond just winning championships and breaking records. She is well positioned to be a transformative figure in the sport. Clark has already shown that she understands the importance of using her platform to advocate for change, and as her career progresses, this influence will only grow. Caitlin Clark is often compared to basketball legends like Steph Curry and Pete Maravich, and she's already being hailed as the single greatest impact in women's basketball history. Her influence is so profound that it's been dubbed the Caitlin Clark effect. University of Indiana head women's coach Terry Morin calls her a once-in-a-lifetime player, acknowledging her inevitable impact on the sport. She is also expected to win the prestigious Wooden Award, adding to her already numerous awards. Clark represents hope for change in women's sports. As young female athletes face the pressures of specialization, many now aspire to follow in her footsteps, telling themselves they are going to be a basketball player and the next Caitlin Clark. Do you think Caitlin Clark is leaving a brilliant legacy for young girls to follow? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.
That's really exciting. It's not surprising. I think it was important that, we valued ourselves in this negotiation.
Rookie of the Year, Caitlin Clark and Cheryl Reeve, recently partnered for a big TV deal that can change the WNBA.
In the perfect timing, they're going to get a new TV deal, which is going to obliterate the old TV deal.
They have maintained a strong commitment to covering women's sports over the years, unlike other media in our market.
I think your commitment through the years in covering women's sports is not shared by the broader media in our market.
Their social media game is improving our coverage, but they've still got more ground to cover.
We've improved our coverage in our market for sure, but it is not at the level that it should be at this point, given the magnitude of the events that we have had, whether it's WNBA championships, multiple times, and whether it's when we hosted the All-Star game, whatever it is. And so, we've got another step to go. I'm really hopeful that the current events in covering women's sports, how things are changing very rapidly, that our market is one that will grab a hold and share your passion for it.
The USA experience was the catalyst for her career trajectory. That was a turning point that launched her career.
Yeah, I think Ka's the epitome of a career trajectory, in that her first USAB experience, was one in terms of where she was at in the league, that, it was typical first experience. She had a lot to learn, a lot to figure out.
She kicked off her WNBA journey and ended up snagging the MVP in the finals.
But she started figuring that out in the WNBA, obviously, as we know, with culminating in an MVP in the finals. And she just keeps growing. She's got a great work ethic, great passion for the game, and so I think it's notable. I think, like you said a little bit later in her career, I think that's notable for players, that they understand. We were just having this conversation that it may not be your time when you're younger. Maybe there's just people at your position. Maybe you still have a little bit to add to your game, whatever it is. And, being patient in that process.
Recognizing our value was key in this negotiation, making sure we held our ground.
Yeah, it's really exciting. It's not surprising. I think it was important that, we valued ourselves in this negotiation. It's certainly helpful to have this rookie class, led by Caitlin, who, is sort of driving, the media, the interest, the business.
Cheryl's making sure she knows what the WNBA's got in store for the beginning of the season.
And so I think making sure that, I said this in the beginning of the season, what can the WNBA do? We can take advantage and not sell ourselves short. And also have a vision for the future, where this league is headed, like all pro sports leagues that we have seen, NBA, Major League Baseball, NFL. There is an evolution to a sports league. And we're in our evolution. This is our moment to take that next step.
According to Caitlin, Cheryl's a trailblazer in the sport and just a really cool individual.
Yeah, I think obviously Cheryl, she's like one of the pioneers of our game and just an awesome individual. Like her personality just radiates, like being around her, it just makes you smile. Like she's just such a cool human. So for her to get to coach us, like super exciting for me. I was super excited when I heard that news. Like just a great opportunity to be around somebody that's given so much to this game and to get to enjoy this, my first experience with her, honestly. It's awesome, and to be a part of this, like to see it grow, it's super special. I'm happy for the players that have been in this league for a really long time to have moments like these and opportunities like these, because they've deserved it. It's been a long time coming, but honestly, like I feel like we're just scratching the surface. Like you said, the 2 expansion teams that already announced and are, going to be coming over the course of the next 2 years, like that's only going to help the league grow. It's going to get more eyeballs, get us into new markets. The new media rights deal, that's going to help. So it's just, day by day, year by year, like it's only going to continue to get better, and it's going to give people an opportunity to see how good women's basketball is.
One of the greatest competitors that the league or women's basketball has ever seen, or sports have ever seen. One of the all-time greatest competitors. It's a player that we have loved to hate as an opponent, but that means you are really, really doing something great. She's done it all in big games, won us big games, makes big shots. Her level of compete, her understanding of the game, what should happen, her understanding of her teammates, how to put them in position to be successful.
It's truly fascinating to delve into everything that's been happening in the WNBA recently, from the standout performances on the court to the impactful social initiatives off the court.
Did you guys see this note? It's really interesting what's happened to the WNBA. In the perfect timing, they're going to get a new TV deal, which is going to obliterate the old TV deal. They're still going to lose money this year doing the charter flights, I think, putting cart before a horse is a little bit much, but the Caitlin Clark effect is real. It just is. And the latest sign is that they got 3.44 million people watched the WNBA All-Star Game on ABC, topping the previous record of 1.44 million. So 2 million more people watched the WNBA All-Star Game, in which the WNBA All-Stars beat Team USA. Anyway, 2 million more people watched. And I mean, I can't equate every one of those 2 million people to be because of Caitlin Clark. Her whole act, her whole bravado is so it's not just unbecoming of somebody who's a coach, but you know, your job when you're USA basketball, the coach USA basketball, like, you're a champion of the game. You're growing the game, and there just isn't, like, you know, there's a coach speak code that everyone knows, and she refuses, and it shows her what has to be an insecurity, right? She feels like Shooter McGavin. That's what she feels like. I was too busy winning.
Caitlin took the worst team in the WNBA, had a rough start in the first year, and now they're actually competitive.
Like, all right, dude, but she took the worst team in the WNBA. They're terrible to start the year, and now they're competitive. And oh yeah, by the way, she's really good, and people care. They want to watch her play. And when put in a situation where you have better players around her, she becomes a facilitator. Like, I don't understand what her deal is, other than some massive, massive insecurity. And as we've said before, she is the embodiment of what's wrong with what's hard with women in the workplace, is that the biggest challenge, biggest hurdle for women to get over in the workplace is other women.
You know what the average attendance is when Caitlin Clark plays home or the road?
What?
15,300.
Wow.
Okay? 15,300. Do you know what Caitlin Clark just got the contract from Nike?
Nike.
You know what the contract is?
I want to say it's $3 million a year for 8 to 10 years. It's almost $30 million, something like that.
Right there, look at this. Caitlin Clark gets 15,591 fans in attendance, 105% increase compared to the average game is 76.45. Can you pull up what Caitlin Clark just got? What is the Nike contract with Caitlin Clark? Nike contract, $28 million is what the contract is. Okay, this is WNBA is paying Caitlin Clark $28 million. Good for freaking you. You know what America loves? Let me break it down for you. We absolutely love one thing. You know what it is? Underdogs. Caitlin Clark is an underdog. We don't care if it's WNBA. We don't care if it's the UFC and they said, Dana, you'll never make it. We don't care if it's a presidential candidate. We don't care if it's a comedian. We don't care if it's a businessman. We don't care if it's a podcaster. We don't care if it's a fighter. We don't care if it's anything. We don't care about your color. We don't care if you're married, single, divorced. We don't care about anything. We love humble underdogs. We just do. We love an underdog that comes in, that's got a fight, that wants to go out there and do it. And Caitlin Clark's doing it. And she's getting all these eyeballs. And I'm so happy for her to get the 28 flipping million.
A lot of people there in the arena, like, just for a draft watch party. Like, that's pretty incredible. So awesome. I can't wait to get there and actually be playing games. I know it'll be a packed crowd.
You can always tell when it's a home game day for the Fever, because downtown Indy gets flooded with the number 22.
Caitlin Clark just dropped the news. She's officially part of the WNBA now.
A huge headline tonight in women's basketball. Record-breaking Iowa Hawkeyes star Caitlin Clark has announced she's entering the WNBA draft this year. And it's big news here in Indianapolis because the Indiana Fever hold the #1 pick in that draft.
And Clark is skipping her final season of eligibility to go pro. Just last week, Iowa played at IU in Bloomington, and this was the line to see her at Assembly Hall.
Caitlin's presence on the court draws crowds wherever she goes.
Honestly, I think it's super special, and, you know, sitting at the table, kind of obviously knowing where I'm going, you still get a little bit anxious when the commissioner walks out and says your name. It's something you dream of. Like, it's a moment I've dreamed of since I was in 2nd grade, and be there with my family at the table was amazing, and to share it with them was super special.
Indiana Fever just scored big with the 2023 WNBA Rookie of the Year already in their lineup.
And now the dreams of Indiana Fever fans coming true today. This announcement's a huge deal for the Indiana Fever, who already have 2023 WNBA Rookie of the Year Aaliyah Boston on their roster now.
And the Fever hold the #1 pick in this year's draft.
There is a fervent expectation that Indiana will choose Caitlin Clark to lead their charge.
It's widely expected that they will go with Clark. And as Fox 59's Eric Graves shows us, basketball fans are already excited about the idea of adding her to the roster.
Caitlin. Indianapolis ready to welcome the best player in college hoops to Gainbridge Fieldhouse. We were at the NFL Combine Experience today talking to fans about football, and they had plenty to say about the future of Fever basketball, too.
Even though she's not yet a WNBA player, Caitlin has done so much for women's basketball.
Breaking records for history, selling out crowds, and balling out. That's what Iowa superstar Caitlin Clark does.
She's a star already, and she's not even a professional on that level yet.
Caitlin has smashed some records and left her mark in the history books.
She's rewritten record books over her 4 years at Iowa, now owning the NCAA women's scoring record and creating new fans of women's basketball along the way.
I haven't really followed a lot of women's basketball up until this year.
I've never seen a player like that. Really, she's incredible.
Wherever Caitlin hits the court, you can bet the seats will be filled.
Home or away, Clark has been selling out venues across the country this year, including Assembly Hall just a few weeks ago.
Just has this energy that everyone's just kind of attracted to and drawn to.
An intensity that fans of all ages love.
Do you like watching Caitlin Clark?
Yes.
The Indiana Fever have had the top pick in this year's WNBA draft for a while now, but it was Clark with the question mark. Would she stay in school for another year or turn pro?
Listen up. Caitlin Clark has something to announce.
Thursday night, she made the announcement.
Caitlin Clark announced she's going to declare for the WNBA draft.
Did she? I didn't hear that. Oh, that's fantastic.
Clark's decision puts her on a collision course with the Fever at #1, giving fans plenty to talk about.
It'll sort of add some energy to female sports.
I think it's going to change the landscape for the Fever.
Nothing is set in stone, but Fever legend Tamika Catchings posted on X welcoming Clark to the Fever, and Clark liked the post. Fans already comparing her to Indiana hoops greats.
That would be phenomenal, following behind Tamika Catchings and some of the other ones that have already been here.
She'll be the Reggie Miller of the Fever, is what we hope.
Over to the WNBA, where the Indiana Fever introduced the first overall pick from Monday's draft, Caitlin Clark. Her resume is as long as the three-pointers she drained while helping lift women's hoops to unprecedented popularity. Take a listen to the top overall pick. It's new on SportsCenter.
I can't think of a better place for myself to start my career, a place that loves basketball, supports women's basketball, and an organization that really does things the right way. I'm just very thankful that they have a belief in me. I was just ready for a new challenge and something new in my life. Felt like I kind of had done everything at Iowa that I possibly could, and we did a lot of amazing things, but to be able to come here and stay in the Midwest, you can't script it any better. I hated playing at Indiana, and they hated me, so hopefully a lot of them turn into Indiana Fever fans, but I mean, they hated me for good reason. It's a hard place to win at, and there's going to be learning curves for me. I'm not going to come out here and score 40 points a game. Like, that's not what I'm going to do. I think it's just, learning from the amazing people that I have around me and having a lot of fun, but also, don't lose who I am. That's what's got me to this point. Continue to be myself, and I think a lot of good will come from that.
This game was really a springboard to see the all-star list of constellations in the WNBA. Take us inside your thoughts.
Caitlin Clark brings excitement to people who are watching the game.
Well, that's the beautiful thing about all these eyes that Caitlin Clark brings, right? I know there are so many Caitlin Clark fans for good reason. She broke a WNBA record in tonight's game with 19 assists to go along with 20-plus points. What Caitlin is doing is amazing, but there are so many other talented pieces around her, and that's the best part. When you watch Caitlin shine, what else do you get to see? Aaliyah Boston have 28 points, and then even on the opposite side, you start to fall in love with opponents as well, and those players like Arike Agumbawale and Odyssey Sims, who had 24 points each, or Natasha Howard, who's a forward, who had 8 assists. All the players for the Dallas Wings, even JC Sheldon, who's a rookie alongside Caitlin Clark, knocked down some big-time threes. So all these eyes on Caitlin puts all the eyes on the rest of the league that is filled with so much talent, and that's the best part. For any Indiana Fever Fever game. You're seeing Caitlin, of course, in the talented Indiana team, but you're seeing everybody.
No question. Let's take a look and keep our eyes on what may happen moving forward. Next Indiana win, they're going to match last season's win total. Dallas is sitting there at the bottom of the WNBA standings right now with Washington, but you say fortifications are coming. Take us inside the second half for both of these teams.
I see Indiana firmly in, and even possibly winning a playoff series or two. I don't think they have enough to win a WNBA championship, but they're already, in my opinion, light years ahead of where I thought they would be, and they're not even close to their ceiling. Like, this team and this season, as they put seasons like this together, this can be a team that hangs another banner, and I know Indiana fans would absolutely love that. I see them in the playoffs solid.
You can always tell when it's a home game day for the Fever because downtown Indy gets flooded with the number 22.
Just go down the street and you're seeing 22 shirts everywhere.
The number that belongs to the one and only Caitlin Clark.
I'm really happy I got to see her today. Yeah. It was like a dream come true.
Her star power was on full display against the New York Liberty when Clark made history, not only for herself as a rookie, but for her team when she hit a triple-double, electrifying the crowd.
Here are some comments from people about Caitlin Clark. Have a look.
It's historic. It was pretty awesome. We're big Iowa fans, so we've been watching her for years, and it was great to see her live.
It was pretty surreal because we were watching TV, I think, the game before, and she got really close to it. I think she was like a couple of rebounds away, and I didn't think that I would actually be at the first one, but here we are.
It felt really exciting that my favorite basketball player made her first triple-double.
We've been following her since like last season with Iowa, but seeing her do what she did on the court today, that was actually really amazing.
Not to mention, the Caitlin Clark effect is changing the game overall.
What she has done for the sport of basketball and what she's done for women's sports, period, it's amazing.
The WNBA, that professional league, is it's growing amazing. Like, I just can't believe they're selling out, and I love it. It's awesome.
Go Fever, let's go! Triple-double, first rookie! Fans have been traveling across the country for Fever games, and for some, it's their first introduction to a feeling Hoosiers have known forever.
There's some kind of camaraderie, you know? I think everybody feels it. Like I said, it feels electric, like something big is gonna happen.
How long was your drive?
7 hours.
7 hours. Was it worth it?
Yeah.
I've been enjoying watching Fever basketball since Tamika catches, so just to have this uproar again, you know, in the city is very lovely.
When a young girl bravely approached Caitlin Clark with a heart-wrenching story about her father's illness, she probably didn't expect what happened next. Touched by the girl's sincerity and love for her dad, Caitlin decided to go beyond just offering words of comfort. The very next day, the family received something in the mail that left them in awe. What Caitlin did goes to show the true character of a sports star, proving that her impact off the court is just as powerful as her performance on it.
I gave a lot of something, you know, little girls can probably scream about at the top of their lungs, and I can imagine that, you know, when I was younger, I was doing the exact same thing.
When Caitlin Clark stepped off the court after yet another electrifying performance, she was greeted by the usual sea of fans eager to meet their hero. Autographs, photos, and quick exchanges with starry-eyed admirers were all part of her routine after a game. But that night, something different happened. Amid the throng of fans, a young girl approached Caitlin, her face marked by a mixture of excitement and anxiety. Clutching a small piece of paper, she hesitated for a moment before gathering the courage to speak. Caitlin noticed the girl's nervousness and immediately knelt down to meet her at eye level, offering a warm smile. The girl, whose name was Emily, finally found her voice and told Caitlin that her father was very sick. It wasn't just a passing illness. Emily's father had been diagnosed with a serious condition that had turned their world upside down. For a moment, the noise of the crowd faded away as Caitlin focused on Emily's story. The girl explained how her father had always been a huge fan of Caitlin's, drawing strength from her games and using her tenacity as a source of inspiration during his treatment. Caitlin listened intently, moved by the depth of Emily's love for her father and the weight of the responsibility she seemed to carry at such a young age. It was clear that Emily wasn't just looking for an autograph or a photo. She was searching for something much deeper, hope, perhaps, or a sense of connection that might lift her father's spirits in a way that only someone like Caitlin could. Emily handed Caitlin the piece of paper, which contained a simple request, a message for her dad, something to encourage him as he fought his illness. Caitlin took the note, her expression softening as she read the words. She assured Emily that she would do something special for her father. The gratitude in Emily's eyes was immediate, and though the girl tried to hold it back, a tear escaped, tracing a path down her cheek. Caitlin gave her a gentle hug, promising that she wouldn't forget about her dad. With that, Emily thanked her and disappeared back into the crowd, her heart a little lighter, her steps a little quicker. The next day, Caitlin couldn't shake the thought of Emily and her father. Despite her busy schedule, the conversation with that little girl had stayed with her, weighing on her mind in a way that few things did. She realized that as much as she gave on the court, there were times when her influence off the court could be even more profound. She knew she had to do something meaningful, something that would truly touch Emily's father and remind him that he wasn't alone in his battle. Caitlin decided to go beyond a simple signed jersey or a standard note. She sat down and penned a heartfelt letter to Emily's father, pouring her thoughts onto the paper with the kind of sincerity and empathy that could only come from someone who genuinely cared. She didn't just wish him well. She shared stories from her own life, moments when she'd faced challenges and had to dig deep to find the strength to keep going. She wrote about how, even in her toughest moments, she'd always been inspired by the people who believed in her, and how she hoped her words could offer the same kind of inspiration to him. But Caitlin didn't stop there. She remembered that Emily had mentioned how much her father loved watching her play. So she included something else in the package, a personal invitation to one of her upcoming games, with seats reserved for Emily and her father, right near the court. Caitlin wanted them to experience the game up close, to feel the energy and excitement that she knew could be a powerful antidote to the darkness of illness. It was her way of giving back, of using her platform to offer a moment of joy in a time of uncertainty. When Emily's father received the package, he was overwhelmed. The letter from Caitlin was the last thing he had expected, and as he read her words, he found himself tearing up. There was something deeply moving about the way Caitlin had reached out, not as a distant sports star, but as a person who understood what it meant to struggle and to find hope in unlikely places. Her letter wasn't just encouraging. It was a reminder that people cared, that there were still bright spots in the world, even when things seemed darkest. The invitation to the game was an added surprise, one that filled both Emily and her father with excitement. The thought of being there, in person, to watch Caitlin play was something they hadn't even dreamed of. For Emily's father, it wasn't just about the game itself, but about what it represented, a chance to escape the reality of his illness, if only for a few hours, and to share a special experience with his daughter. As they parted ways, Emily's father felt a renewed sense of strength. The road ahead was still uncertain, and there would be more tough days to come. But he knew that he wasn't facing it alone. He had his daughter by his side, and now, in a way, he had Caitlin too, a source of inspiration and a reminder of the power of kindness and compassion. The impact of Caitlin's gesture didn't end there. The story of what she had done spread, first among the local community, and then more widely as people shared it online. It resonated with so many because it was a reminder of what sports and the people who play them can represent. Beyond the competition, Beyond the fame and the accolades, there is a humanity that connects us all, a capacity for empathy and generosity that can make a difference in ways that statistics and trophies never could. Fans around the country were moved by Caitlin's actions, seeing in her not just a great athlete, but a great person, someone who used her influence for good. It was a story that transcended the sport, touching the hearts of people who might never have watched a game in their lives, but who understood the importance of reaching out to others in times of need. Emily and her father, meanwhile, continued to attend games when they could, always grateful for the experience that Caitlin had given them. Every time they watched her play, they were reminded of the letter, of the game, and of the day that Caitlin Clark had reached out to them with a kindness that went far beyond the court. Caitlin herself never sought attention for what she had done. For her, it was simply the right thing to do, a way to give back to the people who supported her, to use her platform in a way that could make a real difference. She continued to play with the same passion and intensity, knowing that for every game she played, there were people like Emily and her father in the crowd, people who might be facing their own battles, looking to her not just for entertainment, but for inspiration. In the end, what Caitlin had done was more than just send a letter or an invitation. She had created a connection that transcended the boundaries of the game. She had shown that sports can be a powerful force for good, that athletes have the ability to touch lives in ways that go far beyond their performance on the field or the court. And in doing so, she had left a lasting impact, one that would be felt by Emily, her father, and countless others who heard their story. As the years went by, Emily's father's health slowly improved, and while he would never forget the struggles he had faced, he also never forgot the kindness of Caitlin Clark. The letter she had written remained framed in their home, a symbol of hope and a reminder of the day when a sports star took the time to make a difference in the life of a fan. It was a day that neither he nor Emily would ever forget, and one that proved that sometimes the smallest gestures can have the biggest impact.